Now for Inside Utah Politics.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Glen Mills. It is time to go inside Utah politics. We do begin this morning with Rick Graham. He is co-chair of the Pioneer Park Coalition, here to discuss the organization's plan to address homelessness in Salt Lake City. Rick, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Start off with the Pioneer Park Coalition and some background for viewers that may not be familiar with it. Tell us a little bit about what the organization is all about and what you do.
Pioneer Park Coalition is a coalition of local business, citizens, community folks, residents, downtown business leaders that has assembled to address issues related to homelessness, specifically or initially in the Pioneer Park area. It was formed in about 2014. Since then, the role and the responsibility has grown into a much broader homeless initiative. But the Pioneer Park itself is still one of our main pillars of what can we do as a coalition, a community, to help revitalize the park.
And when you talk about what you can do, what are some things that you specifically do to try to achieve that mission?
Our mission is to be advocates. Our mission statement is kind of wordy, but basically it says we are the advocates for homeless people, those that are impaired and can't have a voice or don't have a voice for themselves. And so our goal and mission is to be advocates for them, find solutions and opportunities to create an environment that they can thrive in, and also work with the local community to help that happen.
Talk about the way you see the homeless situation in downtown Salt Lake City right now from your perspective.
Thank you. I think anyone can see in any part of Salt Lake City, no matter where you live, that we have a challenge with homelessness. We have people on the street. We have people at intersections begging for money. We have unsanctioned camps and camping out on streets, in doorways, on businesses, in open spaces, and almost any place that doesn't have a structure, and even in places with structure. The homeless population, both sheltered and unsheltered, is growing in Salt Lake City and the surrounding areas. What also is happening is we have a very active and determined group of individuals, philanthropists, government agencies, municipal agencies, other types of service providers that are doing a great deal to help provide services for this. So we're seeing the growth, but we're also seeing wonderful services that are happening as well.
I agree with you. Everyone takes a look at the situation and can see something needs to be done. But there's a lot of debate over what specifically should be done to address this.
Yeah.
Last month, your organization rolled out a plan that you think should be followed. Dig into that for us.
Thank you. The prevailing notion in the homelessness community, and this just is not in Salt Lake City, but throughout the nation, is that homelessness generally could be solved by putting people in homes. It's a housing first type of concept. That's certainly part of the solution, but it isn't the whole solution. And there has to be additional services and attention focused on just housing. We rolled out a month ago our homelessness plan, suggestions and ideas to reduce homelessness and reduce crime in Salt Lake City. It's a three-pronged approach, and that approach is provide those that are seeking homelessness services a structure of complete wraparound services that help them and enrich their lives.
And when you talk about services, we're talking about treatment programs and education programs, that sort.
That in addition to housing and to shelters. It starts there, but at these shelters and these facilities, it's just not a roof over the head that they need. They need support, and it is substance abuse, mental health treatment, employment help, other factors that they do not have resources or the capacity to find for themselves. Bring them to a shelter, bring them to a resource center, and help them gain some additional in services and what they can do.
Okay, real quick,
their lives.
you know as well as everyone else that that new plan rolled out where we got rid of the road home and we made these 3 resource centers. So are you suggesting those aren't working appropriately?
Not at all. They're working appropriately. Our vision and view is that there's more, there's always more, but there's more that can be done to support the homeless. And the second part of our approach is we've got to enforce the law. We've got to stop the crime. We've got to, which follows homeless people and follows homeless locations all over.
And something you alluded to earlier was the camping. You believe that should be enforced as well?
Absolutely. Salt Lake City has laws on the book, legitimate laws that say street camping is against the law. It is a challenge. We need more enforcement. We need alternatives. When we talk about enforcement, we don't say they need to be thrown in jail. We need alternatives to jail. Jail is not the place to put them. We need alternatives. We need transitional types of alternatives. But we have to start by enforcing the law, and we have to do something in Salt Lake City to get the street camping under control.
And one thing you've suggested is a camping location, a camp for those struggling with homelessness. Where would that be?
It is true. We support, through our study, through good practice from other states and cities that have the same types and even larger problems in Salt Lake City, of the idea of sanctioned camps. A sanctioned camp is an area that is located, it's controlled, it's street outside camping, but it's in a controlled environment. At a sanctioned camp, services are provided. Shelters could even be provided. That's a notion that certainly can look at. But other services like restroom facilities, a place to eat, getting services for mental health, drug addiction, getting services and transportation to employment and things like that. So it's a very structured camp, but it is collecting, rather than being on the street and living in the gutters and living in doorways and the despicable environment that some of these needy people have, we're putting them in a sanction. Where that goes is still up to debate. It needs to be a large area. Interesting enough, we're working with the state of Utah, and we know that is something that our state homeless organization committee is looking at. We are proponents of that. Look forward to opportunities to discuss.
Okay, we have about a minute left. We're moving through this quickly. The third element of your plan.
The third element is accountability. It's kind of a hard word, but it's responsibility. And that is, those that are homeless need to bear responsibility for their actions. But those that are service providers, funders, governments as well, need to be accountable and make sure that what we are doing is being successful. The state invests over $300 and probably over $300 million a year. We need to make sure, through accountable factors, through tracking data, having a complete system of tracking across all activities, how that money is being spent, and make sure that that wonderful investment that is incredible is actually producing positive results. We believe it is, we know it is, to the extent there's more to be discovered.
Okay, we've run out of time. I wish we had more because there were a couple of things I wanted to get into as well. The legislative session coming up, really quick, that's something that you are all a part of. If anyone at home is interested in learning more about your organization or getting involved, how can they do that?
They can do that by volunteering. The PPC has over several hundred members. There is a website, pioneerpark.co. The website describes opportunities to get involved, to be a part of the organization, and also information to help you better understand the nature of what's going on here in Salt Lake City.
All right, Rick, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.